Hello, my name is Jörg Sieber, Senior Product Marketing Manager at Palo Alto Networks. Welcome to this short demonstration of our next generation firewall user interface and capabilities. After we first sign into the user interface, we see the dashboard, which shows a summary of configuration and user information. We want to start out our demo today by clicking on the ACC tab. There is an old saying that knowledge is power. This is one of the benefits the ability to classify all application traffic, inspect the content within, and identify users provides. Throughout our product, the contextual link between application, content, and user is consistent. The ACC provides this knowledge in an interactive, easy-to-use, and visual way, providing you with the ability to make informed security decisions. The first thing we notice in the ACC is a graphical depiction of all applications traversing the network, the application usage section. But we also can see user activity by traffic sent and received. If we scroll down, additional widgets show source and destination IP, source and destination regions with world maps, visually highlighting where traffic comes from and goes to. Further down, we have Global Protect host information for Global Protect users, as well as widgets showing rule usage. Consider the ACC a 10,000-foot view of your network, with the ability to quickly dive down into a more granular view. The ACC is a standard feature in our firewalls that does not require any additional licensing. Let's walk through an example of how an administrator would use the ACC to gain important insights into network and threat activity. This will show you the true power of the ACC and how it connects all of the capabilities of the next generation security platform to provide actionable and intuitive data. The application usage graph at the top is at front and center in the ACC. It shows all traffic grouped by application. The tree map displays the applications by category in dark gray and subcategory in light gray, and the applications themselves are color-coded by risk. Red means critical and green means okay. Below, you see the top applications sorted by types, by bytes. If you change the view, the applications shown in this widget will change as well. We can click on any category or application to drill down into more detail. So let's click on General Internet. Now we can see all applications associated with this category. We see web browsing taking up the majority of bandwidth, which is expected in a perimeter deployment like this, but RapidShare taking up a large portion as well. You may ask yourself, what is RapidShare, especially if you're unfamiliar with the application. A quick look at the Value tab in this drop-down menu will provide us with valuable answers. This pop-up window provides us with a description of the application, provides a category, lists the standard ports, a risk level, as well as things to look out for when dealing with this application. Palo Alto Networks can identify all applications regardless of port thanks to our App ID technology. Let's drill down a little more. Now we can see in detail all the traffic associated with RapidShare in this widget. The large amount of bytes sent and received in this graph might grab your attention. With another click, we can promote the filter for further analysis. To promote a filter means to filter all global network traffic by this application. So what we have done now is apply this filter to all widgets in the ACC. You can see your filter string up here in the top left corner of the user interface. As you can see, we show all users of RapidShare, IPs associated with the traffic, source and destination regions of the world, as well as rules associated with RapidShare. But for now, let's look at some user activity that catches our eye. Marsha Worth is the #1 user of RapidShare in the last hour. Our user ID capability enables us to identify users by name rather than just IP addresses. Let's take a closer look at Marsha's usage of RapidShare by promoting this filter as well. Now we are filtering everything by RapidShare and Marsha Worth. When we are looking at source IP activity, we can see that all the RapidShare traffic is from a desktop computer in the lab. I'm curious. Let's look at regions. The traffic is coming from headquarters to the UK, European Union, and United States, providing us with even more data points. But let's find out more. A large amount of traffic came from a rule called Watch Risky Apps. We now can do a global find to find the instance of the Watch Risky Apps rule in the rule base. We see that one security rule was impacted. If we hover over the name of the Watch Risky App name, we can see the definition of the rule without ever leaving the ACC tab. Looking at this definition, we can see that this is obviously an allow rule. But you may ask yourself if we should modify this rule to change the handling of any RapidShare traffic. Let's do a quick recap. So far, we have established a lot of knowledge that will help us make an informed decision. Marsha has been using RapidShare. She transferred a lot of data from headquarters to the UK, European Union, and US from a lab desktop, and it passed through a rule called Watch Risky Apps. Of course, it would also be interesting to see what else Marsha has been doing outside of RapidShare. As you can see, we have our filter string from our activity on the left-hand side of the screen. We filtered first by RapidShare, then by Marsha Worth. It is very easy to remove any part of a filter string. By removing RapidShare, we can quickly see all the activity of Marsha across all applications. So let's remove RapidShare. Now we can see her application usage. Within this application usage widget, we can see in the threats column that Marsha has encountered several threats. This is worth exploring. At this point, we have only been using the Network Activity tab, but there are other tabs available as well. By default, the ACC will display the Network, Threat, and Blocked Activity tab. So let's take a look at the Threat Activity tab to see threat activity by Marsha. In this tab, we can see information about threat behavior across the network, such as hosts that are visiting malicious domains, threat activity, and wildfire activity, and information about application using non-standard ports. The same design convention empowers you to drill down into more detail, promote any item, or utilize global filters to help find other instances of an event, host name, or rule. It is in this section where you can see our Content ID in action, providing valuable information about all kinds of threat activity in the network. The widget in the top right highlights most likely compromised hosts based on automatic correlation of indicators of compromise. This means our next generation firewall looks for signs of compromise that, when they appear together, can confirm that a host has been compromised. Currently, we don't see any correlation triggers within the last hour, but let's just expand the time frame for our search to the last calendar day to see if Marsha Worth has been impacted at all. As you can immediately see, Marsha most likely has a compromised host. It looks like the following things happened. This correlation object that was triggered here detects likely compromised hosts based on activity that resembles command and control beaconing, such as repeated visits to recently registered domains or dynamic DNS domains, repeated file downloads from the same location, generation of unknown traffic, and so on. This threat is considered medium, so we don't need to take immediate action right here. So for now, let's go back to looking at the last hour of Marsha Worth's traffic. Let's continue searching for threat activity associated with Marsha Worth. We can see several incidents, some critical, associated with Microsoft Works and Internet Explorer. We can drill down to get even more information. We can see there were several incidents with code execution associated with Marsha Worth, all of them with Microsoft applications. This is a further sign that Marsha may have been compromised. If you want to learn more about these vulnerabilities, you can follow the same process we used earlier with applications. Clicking on the drop-down next to the threat name and selecting value will show important details about the threat. Finally, let's select the Blocked Activity tab. In this tab, you can find information about blocked applications, users, and content, as well as information about which policies are most actively blocking access. We can see Marsha's email and web activity was blocked quite a few times because the traffic was identified as a threat and the session was terminated. At this point, I want to show you how you can customize the tabs we have just used. You can add, move, or remove widgets from each of the tabs, and you can create a fully custom tab. All the widgets displayed in the 3 default tabs can be used interchangeably, meaning you can tailor what the ACC displays for each user and role. The network operations team can tailor a tab to show what they are interested in, and the security team can tailor a threat-focused tab in the same manner. You might even want to create a widget dedicated to watching Marsha's behavior of RapidShare. Just click on the plus button next to your tabs. We have gathered a lot of information about Marsha's application usage, her threat activity, and established which rule was triggered. This should be enough information for us to change the Watch Risky Apps rule we identified and remove RapidShare from this rule into a separate block rule. To do this, let's once again click on the search icon in the top right corner. This search icon remembers our previous search of RapidShare. This will take us directly to this rule and into the Policies tab, as you can see. Now we are in the Policies tab and are looking at the Watch Risky Apps rule. Of course, there are other rules in the Policy tab. We are currently only seeing this one rule because we did a search for it. Let's bring up the other rules. Now we can see this rule in evaluation order together with other rules. And down here on line item 17, we can see this rule. In the Policy tab, we empower you to manage and control applications in a single security rule base for next-generation firewall, URL filtering, threat prevention, sandboxing, data filtering, and file blocking. This means you don't have to create and manage many different rule bases for all of these functions. Note that our rules are human readable, improving manageability significantly. You can read each rule from left to right and make sense of it. You can see which users have access to which destinations, applications, and how content is inspected. This simplicity translates directly into fewer errors and improved security. Let's check for RapidShare in the Watch Risky Apps rule. Let's look at the applications column for this rule. We can see here in the applications column 3 application filters. One of them is the filter including all file sharing apps. This file sharing filter is what we call a dynamic application group that is defined by any application that has the attribute of file sharing. By using a dynamic application group as a filter, we don't have to worry about missing apps that may be added as part of future content updates. This means any new file sharing application will be automatically included in this group without us having to touch the rule. We can see that this rule monitors groups of applications considered high risk, such as file sharing, without denying users access to it. Based on Marsha Worth's activity, we actually want to add RapidShare to a rule that blocks specific applications that are too risky. We could create a brand new rule to block RapidShare, but first let's see what other rules we have available to us. I can see a block bad apps rule just above. This would be the right rule to ensure employees are not encountering RapidShare anymore. Let's open up the block bad apps rule. We can see this rule applies to all users and currently blocks several applications. To add RapidShare to this list of blocked apps, we simply click on the Add button below. Then we are searching for RapidShare and click on the application name. If we clicked OK at this point, it would confirm these changes and block RapidShare from now on. But for the purpose of this demonstration, I will click Cancel and not apply this change. This is how simple it is to apply application control to the Palo Alto Network's next generation firewall. Let's recap. We were looking at our overall network activity in the ACC, realized that RapidShare was creating a significant amount of traffic. With just a few clicks, we learned more about RapidShare thanks to our App ID technology. We also found that Marsha Worth was the primary user of the application. We were quickly able to identify Marsha by name thanks to our user ID capabilities. From the lab desktop computer, she was sending information to 3 regions. We also found that Marsha's computer was generating quite a bit of threat traffic, and in fact her laptop most likely was compromised. This was made possible with our Content ID functionality. With just a few more clicks, we were able to examine the security rules and modify them appropriately to ensure RapidShare was no longer creating a problem for the network. Let me point out just one last thing. If you have more than just a couple of firewalls to manage, there is another tab in the user interface called Panorama. Panorama is our powerful network security management product, which allows for central management, superior visibility, and streamlined operations of your entire network. With Panorama, you have the same powerful visibility and policy control you have with an individual next-generation firewall deployment, with added management functionality designed for distributed environments. I encourage you to view our Panorama demonstration if you are interested in learning more about Panorama. So, this concludes this demonstration. Thank you for your time today. I hope we showed you a very clear view of how you can gain visibility and control over applications, users, and content using the Palo Alto Network's next-generation firewall.